Synchronicity University is where the most trusted and celebrated names in astrology today come to teach. These programs coming up in November are choose your tuition rate for a very limited time at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Hello, fabulous superstar Aquarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of October 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. Well, there's a whole lot of focus, especially the first 3 weeks of the month, on what is happening in fellow air sign Libra. A powerful space in the sky for you now. This is a part of the sky that has to do with long distance travel, immigration, citizenship, higher learning, legal matters, as well as more personally, the philosophical, spiritual, and political beliefs that help you to make sense of the world, that guide your life. Chances are there's going to be a real sense of openness to the world, but there's also a strong sense of karma being where it is that you're meant to be in the world. It's almost like the universe and your life make it very clear, not always where that is, although that's part of the energy now, but also where that is not. That's probably a little bit stronger. And so why is that? Well, a lot of it comes down to the activation of the nodes. And so the nodes are so important where it comes to prediction. I speak about them in my book, The Universe is Wise and Loving. And it is the nodes that represent doorways. And when the north node is activated, that doorway opens and new people, places, things, situations enter, and they represent karmic blessings. They bring in the new and the next. When the south node is activated, that doorway opens, but people, places, things, situations leave. That too represents karmic blessings. With the south node now moving through this worldly part of your sky, well, chances are your understanding of where you're supposed to be metaphorically and literally becomes more clear to you by considering where it is that you are not to be, perhaps most significantly. And so this starts right around the 4th of the month. That is when we get the south node meeting Mars in this part of the sky. Now, Mars brings with it adrenaline. It brings with it a certain masculine energy. It is also very impulsive as well. And so it is possible that if there is a person in your life, perhaps somebody with very strong masculine energy, who in some way represents the world, is international in some way. This could be a time when they exit and you feel very blessed as a result. This could also represent your understanding of where you're supposed to be. It transforms, it changes, perhaps very quickly. If it is that you do end up doing some long distance travel, especially right around this time, there might be very powerful interactions with masculine figures in new locations, foreign places, for example, or perhaps they speak foreign languages. I'm not saying it's forever. Right? I'm not saying that, oh, you're going to meet somebody and that's it forever and ever and ever. But I'm saying that there could be a meeting or just a moment with someone, and it makes a strong impression as part of understanding your karmic path, navigating forward from here. It is on the 10th of the month that we are going to get Pluto going direct after over 5 months retrograde. Now, Pluto will go direct in the sign just before yours. Chances are, for most Aquarians, this is going to represent an inner restlessness, if you will, something stirring within you. This is important for another reason, of course, and that is Pluto going direct means that Pluto starts marching towards your sign. It's going to enter once we get into January. I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. But I mention this because Pluto changing directions, going direct, is at the height of its power, its presence, its transformative quality, its obsessive qualities are especially strong for us now. And it is on the 14th of the month that we are going to have a solar eclipse that is going to square Pluto. That solar eclipse happens where we had that Mars South Node conjunction, a part of the sky that is worldly for you. South nodes bring with them closure. That's part of the activation now. However, solar eclipses bring with them bright new beginnings, pathways opening up, sometimes dramatically, sometimes in ways that end up feeling as if new beginnings on other fronts are possible as a result of understanding your place in the world differently with this particular solar eclipse, metaphorically or literally as well. And so you can see here, new is coming in at the same time. There's a sense of healthy closures happening, all of it representing blessings and new chapters all around. If it is that you are involved in an institute of higher learning, this is where new opportunities can open up for you. If it is that you do get to do some traveling, this can be brand new perspectives and seeing things in a whole new light, quite literally, at a time like this. People who are foreign to you, different than whom you've known before, can play a significant part in helping you to understand the world philosophically and spiritually differently than you did before. Now, it is as we move forward with this eclipse, it's what happens the days following that end up being significant, because it is those days that follow right up to a week after the eclipse that we have powerful celestial activations taking place. It is the Sun and Mercury that will meet the South Node, and then both will connect in tension with Pluto. This is powerful. This is something that very likely is going to represent a challenge, and a challenge to your own preconceptions, a challenge and awareness as to what's really been happening within you, your own resistance, but also perhaps those things that you've been holding that now you're ready to look at more deeply as part of elevating your worldview. And so what I mean by that is, if you might not even realize that you have certain beliefs about particular groups, this is where that is challenged for you. But the good thing about the challenge is it's able to be transcended. If it is that you feel there's somewhere in the world that you are supposed to be, this is where you're trying to figure out how you're going to make it come together and if you can make it happen. If it is that you are involved in a legal matter, for example, this is where you're working hard to try to make that come to a close. If you are in an institute of higher learning, whether you work there or as a student, this is where you may be striving to reach some conclusions important to you. Regardless, though, this is a time where there is effort, but also the potential to really focus, to hone in on the changes that you want, helping you to tap into a depth of a reserve of power within you. On the 28th, we are going to have a lunar eclipse. This lunar eclipse takes place at the foundation of your chart, having to do with your past and your living situation as well. Now, the lunar eclipse is hand in hand with Jupiter, and you know what that means: blessings, options, opportunity as well. But it's a lunar eclipse, which brings with it healthy closure. And chances are, on a spiritual level, it will feel right to you what it is that comes to a close now. If it is that you want to buy, sell, move, or attract a new roommate, I would even say, even if you're not even thinking of that as you start the month, you may be surprised at the opportunity to do just that, that shows up for you before the month is even over. And it is as we get to that lunar eclipse that you may understand what home is for you differently in some way. It could be the actual physical space of where you live, or it could be another place on the planet altogether. You're seeing it differently, more hopefully as well. We do have Mars and Mercury opposite this lunar eclipse, which does suggest there's a quickness to what's happening at this time, and impulsiveness as well. I would also add this part of the sky having to do with feeling at home within yourself. That might be part of the shift taking place for you now. And this also has to do with your past and making peace with your past. That sense of knowing and reconciling with and bringing forgiveness to the past could happen very quickly at this time as well, freeing you and rushing in healing energy. This could also relate to your family of origin, your parents in particular, where that applies, and developments could happen very quickly that bring within that sense of healing energy as well. So regardless of what happens at this time, you come to understand your roots, your home differently in some way, and ultimately it helps you to feel more at home in the world itself. Now, where it comes to matters of love, Venus retrograde season is finally going to be over. A week into this month, the larger Venus retrograde season comes to an end. However, it'll be on the 9th of the month that Venus will leave your opposite sign and move into a more profound and vulnerable part of your sky at that. What special energy here. We are bringing the Venus retrograde season to a close, the larger season that is. And we do so with real moments of insight and truth and a boost, if you will, helping you to understand where you are in love and how you feel about it and what love is going to mean for you, navigating forward from here. The energy kicks into high gear with this close of the larger Venus retrograde season just before the month starts. And that is because towards the end of September, we get Venus square Uranus for the third and final time. And that energy of surprise and maybe a little bit of a shake is what you're bringing into this month very quickly as we enter this month. And just before Venus leaves shadow, Venus will connect with Neptune and with Pluto as well. And this is part of looking at your disappointments or disillusionments. But also it's helping you to understand where you've changed, where what love is for you has changed as well, and what love is worth dedicating yourself to. Your understandings, your truth, well, the realization of that, the knowing of that will be felt deep within, and that will come very quickly. You will know the truth when you feel it. For those of you open to meeting someone new, I do think that it's almost like you're wrapping up some larger lessons, especially in the first week of the month. And so if there's been someone you had your eye on that you felt was kind of, here and there, you'll get some important answers to help you to understand what next steps are for you, what that looks like for you. At the same time, though, once Venus changes signs, I think you'll be more interested in something that feels really authentic. And there could be very powerful attractions to other people that feel very faded as we navigate further into the month of October. For those of you just starting to date someone, well, I think just before this month begins, you're going to see some truth about this person that's pretty undeniable. And that lends itself to a very all or nothing kind of disposition on your part. Either the truth about this person accelerates things, even if you've been disappointed in the past, or the truth about this person makes you take a pause, rightfully so, before you come to a place where maybe you start to recognize this is not the one for you. Regardless, though, once Venus changes signs, you're able to reach a deeper level of truth and understanding what you're going for in love, and you're able to be honest with yourself about whether or not that's here. And for those of you in an established bond, well, look, if you tell me that the Venus retrograde season was handy dandy, hunky dory, right? Was no big deal for your relationship, I am so happy for you. And so chances are Venus, the larger Venus retrograde season ending, won't be that big a deal as well. Maybe some of these energies are playing out more with business partnerships or professional alliances for you. Once Venus changes signs, it allows you to go to a deeper level of commitment and honesty and bonding with this person that you love. If it is that you have felt for a while that maybe you're not in the right relationship for you, I think the first week of this month it's almost like decision time is what's happening for you. It's like you can't unsee and you can't deny the things that this person has shown you over the last few months of the larger Venus retrograde season. By the time Venus changes signs, you just might be ready for meaningful change in your life, navigating forward from here. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. I am going to say, I do love the lunar eclipse late in the month on the 28th. And the reason I love it is because we do have Jupiter so close in the sky to the eclipse. And Jupiter, of course, is blessings and healing and hope. And it's almost like very deep, right to the foundations of your life. This burst of healing energy comes in that you can feel. Lunar eclipses, you can feel those energies. You feel it profoundly and deeply within. And as you feel this energy, you're able to find a new depth of appreciation about the roots, what helps you to feel like you are on steady and strong ground as part of opening yourself up to literally the sky. With Mars and Mercury at the top of your sky, having to do with career and life purpose, you certainly are going to be looking up, motivated. Perhaps some deadline is in view, but through it all, you're able to stay grounded. And that in and of itself is a massive blessing. Well, thank you so much for watching. Do you know about Superstar? NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each week for each sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers are also available, which give you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below.